My wife, Claire, looked at me with a directness I hadn't seen before. "I'm tired of keeping this a secret," she said. "I have a lover now, and he'll be staying over at our place sometimes." I didn't get upset or shout. I just smiled a little and said, "I think you'll find him pretty useless, considering he already lost his most important asset while sitting here at the table." Claire leaned back in her chair, swirling her wine in her glass, her expression smug. She said it again, as though it was just a normal conversation. "I'm done hiding. I have a lover, and he's going to stay over here sometimes." I tightened my grip on my coffee cup, but I stayed calm. There was no shouting, no anger. I had already figured out what was going on. The late nights at work, her obsession with her looks, how she pulled away from me while always on her phone. But hearing her admit it like this was different. She was waiting for me to react, expecting me to lose my temper or beg her to stop. Instead, I kept my cool. "I think he'll be pretty useless to you," I said, sipping my coffee, "considering he lost his most important asset." Her confident smile faltered, and confusion flashed across her face. "What are you talking about?" she asked. I set my coffee cup down gently and leaned forward. "You'll see soon enough." Claire's confidence wavered. She wasn't expecting this calm response. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice shaking slightly now. I just leaned back in my chair and watched the unease take over her. She thought she had control, but she was wrong. "You'll see," I said, standing up. "I suggest you enjoy tonight. It'll be the last time things feel normal." I left her sitting there, letting the doubt creep in. She had no idea what I'd been planning. While she was carrying on with her affair, I'd been quietly gathering information. I didn't confront her. Instead, I watched, followed, and even set up hidden cameras. I learned everything about her lover, Daniel, his job, his criminal history, his financial problems, and even his medical history. I found the perfect way to take him down. That night, I pretended to go to bed early, leaving Claire in the living room. As expected, she quickly touched up her makeup and texted Daniel. I watched on the security feed as he showed up minutes later, walking in like he owned the place. He had no idea this would be the biggest mistake of his life. I let them relax, thinking everything was fine, before I made the call. The police arrived soon after, and the sirens were deafening. Claire and Daniel barely had time to react before officers rushed in. Daniel went pale as the door slammed open. "What's going on?" he asked, panicked. Claire screamed as the police grabbed Daniel and slammed him against the wall. "Daniel Carter, you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and identity theft. You have the right to remain silent." I took my time coming down the stairs, watching Claire's face as she realized what had just happened. "You," she whispered. "You did this." I smiled. "Of course I did. Did you really think I would just let this go?" She lunged at me, but an officer held her back. "Careful," the officer warned. I looked at Claire and said, "You're still legally my wife, and once I'm done, you'll be left with nothing." Her world seemed to collapse around her, but this was just the beginning. She stood frozen as Daniel was escorted away in handcuffs, his protest drowned out by the officers reading him his rights. Her expression was a mix of shock, fear, and anger. "What have you done?" she said, her voice shaking as she leaned against the doorframe. I folded my arms, watching as she slowly realized she no longer had control. "I didn't do anything," I said, pretending to be innocent. "I just let the law handle it. You might want to sit down. Claire, things are about to get a lot more complicated for you." Her fists clenched. "You think you've won? That guy will be out on bail soon enough," she scoffed. I shook my head and chuckled. "You still don't understand. I wasn't just watching you two behind my back. I've been gathering information, and now I have everything I need to make sure Daniel doesn't walk away unscathed." Claire's confidence started to fade as I pulled out my phone and opened a file. "Let me show you something," I said, turning the screen toward her. "Your so-called devoted lover isn't just some cheater. He's a criminal, fraud, identity theft, unpaid debts, and the worst part, a history of soliciting underage girls online." Her face went pale. "You're lying," she whispered, though doubt was evident in her voice. I tilted the phone so she could see the evidence, screenshots, chat logs, financial transactions, proof that Daniel was involved in serious crimes. Tell me, Claire, I continued, watching her eyes fill with panic. What do you think will happen when people find out that you not only had an affair with this man, but also brought him into our home, introduced him to our friends, and let him stay overnight? Do you think that will look good for you? Her hands started to shake as she struggled to process the information. I didn't know, she said weakly. I don't think that's true, I replied. And now you're going down with him. As she struggled to understand what was happening, I pressed on. You might want to check your bank accounts, I said, pulling out my own phone. Oh, wait, never mind. They're empty. She looked up at me, panic starting to show in her eyes. What? She asked. Remember our joint savings account? The one you thought I wasn't keeping an eye on? Turns out I've been quietly moving funds for months, tracking every little transaction. Every cent you spent on your affair, I kept track of it. And when I filed for divorce earlier today, I made sure you'd walk away with nothing. She grabbed her phone, her hands trembling as she opened her banking app. When she saw the balance, the color drained from her face. You're lying, she said weakly. See for yourself, I said. Her breath hitched as the reality sank in. Oh, and about the house? It's mine. Remember the prenup? You don't get a dime. Desperation was all over her face now. You can't do this, she said, almost pleading. I already did, I said calmly. Tears filled her eyes, and the arrogance she once had was gone. She had nothing left, no money, no home, and soon no reputation. But I wasn't done yet. I glanced at my watch and took a step back. I'd love to stay and watch you fall apart, but I got other things to do. You got about 24 hours before the real consequences kick in. Her voice trembled as she wiped away her tears. What do you mean? I smirked. Let's just say you're about to be the center of attention. Her phone buzzed, and then again and again. Notifications flooded the screen. She opened the messages, scrolling through them, her breathing growing faster as she saw what was happening. Screenshots of her affair were being shared in family and friend group chats. The police report about Daniel's crimes was making the rounds, and the open marriage contract she once proudly suggested to me was now circulating online, turning her into a public spectacle. You sent this, everyone? She gasped. Not just them, I said, walking toward the door. Your work, your family, our neighbors, everyone's going to know. I hope you're ready to be the talk of the town. I left her behind, walking out and leaving her to deal with the aftermath of her own actions. By morning, her life was in ruins. She wasn't just disliked. She was a joke. Messages and leaked evidence spread quickly. Friends cut her off. Family abandoned her, and even her co-workers turned on her. Her boss fired her because of the scandal. As for Daniel, he didn't get away either. Bail was denied, and judges didn't look favorably on people exposed as predators. The divorce papers were finalized, and she had 30 days to leave the house. Meanwhile, I was doing just fine. That night, she called. Her voice was shaky, filled with regret. Please, we need to talk, she sobbed. I made a mistake. I have nowhere to go. I let her beg for a bit, enjoying her desperation, and then simply said, not my problem. Before hanging up, she kept sending messages, but I ignored them all. She made her choice, and now she could live with it. By the end of the week, she made one last effort. She showed up at my door, her makeup smeared, hair messy, looking nothing like the confident woman who had once thought she had control over me. Please, she whispered, her voice full of desperation. I need your help. I have nowhere else to turn. I looked her over. The same woman who had once thought she could do whatever she wanted, now standing before me, completely broken. I smiled. So what happened to your great lover? Her face flinched. Gone, she murmured. He won't even answer my calls. I chuckled. Yeah, neither will I. With that, I shut the door in her face. She crumpled to the floor in tears. But I didn't care. She was nothing to me now.